Okay, let's say you're in grade 10, second semester, and a few weeks before your maths exam. And today's lesson is going to be on algebra. And the teacher wants to go through 3 examples before the bell. And in the front row, this one student keeps dragging his chair, slamming his desk drawer. 2 students in the back start laughing. And the student next to him joins, drops a pencil case. And the teacher puts down the pen and gives them a warning. Hey, this is important, right? You gotta stop. Last warning. But kids being kids, they don't stop. Then another student in the back says, quietly, "Sir, just punish him once." The room goes silent. And the ones who are laughing straighten their faces. And the student who was actually studying looks up at the teacher. And in this moment, corporal punishment doesn't look like violence. It looks like a solution. So today, let's ask, is corporal punishment a choice that saves a classroom or a choice that costs us something else? Let's look at this same scene through 4 different perspectives. First perspective, on efficiency. The group's right to learn and the individual's right. From this perspective, the issue is rather simple. If, let's say, the class stops, 30 students lose their time. And let's say, if the disruption lasts 7 minutes, then you multiply 7 minutes with 29 students, because the teacher is disrupting with the 1 student, and you get 203 minutes. So that's an entire period's worth of possible focus evaporating. And this is second semester, year 10, and grades are starting to matter. Your university placement, your GPA. So for some students, this is vital. So the teacher must intervene. In this context, corporal punishment is a strong and an immediate intervention. 5 seconds of control instead of 5-7 minutes of persuasion. So here, punishment looks like a device that protects the majority's right to learn. And in many real classrooms, the calculation goes something like this. If I don't finish this now, and we don't finish today's material, we can't review it next time, we cram before the exam, and it's the good, quiet students who suffer. But let's change the angle. What is a school? School is not only a grade-producing institution. Students are not just academic units of measurement. They are individuals with rights. And corporal punishment is direct physical intervention. So the question now changes. How far can we limit an individual's right in the name of efficiency? And this isn't just philosophy. The moment punishment becomes possible, students may learn something else. If I am in the weaker position, then someone stronger can step into my body. And inconsistency makes this even worse, because one teacher might say, hey, only 1 warning. But another teacher might say, you get 3 chances. And another depends on the mood on the day. Then what remains for the students is not a rule, but they're learning about people. They don't learn standards. They're learning about how to read someone's face. So you have same punishment. From one angle, it's in the name of protection. From another, it's intrusion. Second perspective, quality of education, individual growth versus social formation. There's a word education loves to use, creativity. Creativity comes when someone can speak their own thoughts. So imagine this. In literature class, they're discussing a Korean story titled The Shower. And a student raises his hand. Teacher, I don't think this is about love. I actually think this is about anxiety. And the teacher asks, why do you think that? So the student explains, and another student challenges, and there's a real exchange going on. That is education. But in a classroom where punishment is always an available option, then students might begin editing themselves. What if this sounds disrespectful to the teacher? Perhaps it's safer to stay quiet? What if I'm going to get marked on them? So the classroom goes silent. But that silence is not always immersion. It can be shrinkage. So in this frame, corporal punishment can lower the overall quality of education, especially if education is all about understanding each student's creativity. Because creativity requires knowing the student. But education has another meaning too. It's not only protecting the self as it is, it's also shaping oneself to live within society. For example, being there on time, submitting homework on time, following the classroom rules. All of these involve force by nature. So real classrooms run like this. If you say, submit your assignment now, but one student keeps saying, I'll do it tomorrow, and you allow it, then the student who followed the rule becomes foolish. For some students, strong control gives direction. So in this frame, punishment can look like a tool that reinforces order. So this is a tension here. Expansion of individuality versus social formation. Third perspective, on autonomy. The power to stop yourself versus protection of the many. Autonomy is a core goal of education. Not acting because you're afraid of the punishment, but because you judge it to be right. The student who does not take out their phone even without supervision, that student is behaving by an inner standard. Not just, if I do this, I'll get in trouble. But if I do this, I harm others. Corporal punishment is an external influence. When the pain disappears, the behavior may disappear with it. A kid may be quiet at school, but loud at their hagwons, and most aggressive at home. That may not be about internalized rules, but simply about fear based on where they are. So in this frame, punishment risks blocking the development of one's autonomy. But here's the reality. If a teacher tries to solve problem behavior only through long conversations and persuasion, during that time, other students' learning and autonomy continue to be invaded. A focused student becomes irritated. The flow of the class keeps breaking. So eventually, it collapses into, whatever. If one student's freedom of expression destroys another student's right to concentrate and learn, then whose autonomy should the teacher protect first? So in this frame, corporal punishment can look like a device that limits one person's autonomy to protect the autonomy of many. The fourth perspective, the standard we choose. By now, hopefully, something has become clear. The punishment doesn't change, but what changes is what we look at first. If we look at learning outcomes first, then punishment is protection. If we look at rights first, punishment is intrusion. If we focus on creative growth, then punishment is shrinkage. If we focus on discipline, then punishment is control. If we prioritize individual autonomy, then punishment is interference. If we prioritize collective autonomy, then punishment is defense. We may be debating about punishment, but in reality, we're choosing the priority of education. Order first, rights first, relationship first, formation first. This choice changes the classroom. And more importantly, it changes the version of society the students learn. So to conclude, corporal punishment isn't just a method, but it's a declaration of we protect this value first. So the issue doesn't end with allowing or banning, but we must ask first, what's education? What do we protect before anything else? Today, we discuss this from 4 perspectives. And instead of agreeing or disagreeing, leave your thoughts in the comments on what one value you think is most important. And tell us why. That answer reveals the classroom that you would build.